In the headlines tonight, TPLF launches invasion in Wag, Wolqayt and other areas. Ethiopians urge the need to scrutinize the role of WHO's Tedros Adhanom. Good evening to you all. A very warm welcome to ETV News. I'm Grum Tariku. The invasion of Qobo and the surrounding areas by the TPLF on the eastern side of the Amhara region has not gone as the group planned, the government disclosed. On reason for the failure, according to the statement issued today by the Government Communication Service, was the concerted response of Ethiopian Heroic Defense Forces and the local communities. It has rather expanded its belligerence to other areas, the statement added. In a statement issued today, the government said that it has been gallantly defending the attacks launched by the TPLF via Eastern Amhara. The TPLF has continued utilizing its worn-out human wave strategy that places children, youth and elderly people of Tigray as sacrificial lambs. The TPLF clique, which cannot survive without war, has launched an invasion in the direction of Wag, Wolqayt and Ethiopian border with Sudan in the Amhara regional state. Our heroic National Defense Forces are defending this invasion with full preparedness and resolve, it pointed out. The statement reiterated that while responding steadfastly to attacks launched by TPLF in various directions, the government has still not closed off the options of peace. It urged the international community to do what it can to pressure the belligerent group for a peaceful resolution of the conflict. It finally called on the people of Tigray to free themselves from the suffering caused by the tyranny of TPLF and condemn the belligerence. The Association of Kenya-Ethiopia Friends, AKEF, has expressed its keen interest to closely work with the Ethiopian Embassy in Kenya on regional peace and development. According to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the association on Tuesday met with Ethiopian ambassador to Kenya, Bacha Dabale. The ambassador told the chairman of the association, Joe Akech, that the embassy is committed to work closely with AKEF in supporting the peace and development projects between Ethiopia and Kenya. He also expressed the gratitude of the government of Ethiopia to the chairman for the efforts the association puts into further enhancing the strong people-to-people relations between the two sisterly countries. The ambassador noted that the government of Ethiopia is committed to peace efforts to resolve conflicts in northern Ethiopia under the auspice of the African Union. The association chairman, Ko Akech, on his part, emphasized the need for working hand in hand to promote peace and development in the region. As the battle to repulse TPLF's aggression rages on, some are pointing out that the need for serious scrutiny of the role of WHO's Director General. Using the global organization's ticket, the Director General earlier this week went to the extent of claiming the reason for what he called Tigray siege is the color of the skin of the people. Tedros Adhanom is into a 2-year-long futile attempt to bring international condemnation and sanctions on a democratic government. During this period, he has purposely and persistently distorted the realities of the conflict. Tigster Nissa has the following reportage.
If one asks the personal interest of WHO's head in this war, the facts speak for themselves. Tedros himself is from Tigray and a member of the Tigray People's Liberation Front, TPLF, who served in the TPLF-led government as Minister of Health from 2005 up to 2012 and later as Minister of Foreign Affairs between 2012 up to 2016. The authoritarian TPLF governed Ethiopia for over 27 years until it was overthrown in a democratic uprising in 2018. The years of endemic corruption, human rights abuses, and ethnic-based discrimination had worn thin on the Ethiopian people who wanted their economic development to be accompanied by a new democracy. Adhanom himself faced many accusations of ethnic-based discrimination while in office. In 2010, Human Rights Watch published a report called Ethiopia, Donor Aid Supports Repression. Research pointed to the TPLF-led government routinely using access to aid as a weapon to control people and crush dissent.
Nowhere in the world you would find a crisis like what you see in the northern part of Ethiopia, especially in Tigray. None.
Returning to his comment this month suggesting the people of Tigray have been ignored, the evidence would suggest otherwise. There have been severe punitive actions taken by the international community against the Ethiopian government, including visa restrictions and their free trade schemes, with the US being cancelled. Not to mention relentless rhetorical condemnation. It is also really important to note that there has been no fighting whatsoever in Tigray since June 2021. Ethiopian forces did not enter the region after they repelled the TPLF's invasion of Amhara and Afar. Moreover, the Ethiopian government laid efforts to get aid into the region with a humanitarian truce in March this year, despite the TPLF still attacking towns and villages in neighboring regions. Tedros' comments also contradict the language being used by the United Nations agencies, which have said the aid program is meeting its targets with large amounts of aid reaching Tigray.
We are pushing and always pushing for more access in any area of conflict, and especially in the Tigray area. The truce itself has opened up greater access for our operations. We have now moved about, in the last, I say 60 days, give or take, probably 2,500 trucks, mostly food, but also other items of support for the people in the region.
Adrian van der Kap, WFP's Deputy Regional Director for East Africa, went as far as saying famine have been averted in Tigray and highlighted the regions in the need of aid were now Afar and Amhara, communities that were destroyed by the Adhanom's TPLF colleagues.
And the humanitarian approach, which seems to be improving, has a famine therefore been averted?
Yes, it has been averted.
The people who are being ignored are those living in Amhara and Afar communities that faced months of TPLF occupation and atrocities including killings, rape, and mass looting. The latest estimate by OCHR suggests around 9 million people in those regions need urgent aid. In order to highlight his lack of scrutiny of the TPLF, his comments always suggest the people of Tigray are suffering solely due to the actions of Ethiopian government. Yet that does not stand up to the facts. The TPLF initiated the conflict in November 2020, attacking government military bases in Tigray. The Ethiopian government's defensive operations were justified according to the UNDP. They launched an invasion of Amhara and Afar in June 2021 and threatened to march on Addis Ababa. The suffering they caused on their way has been highlighted by numerous reports by Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and international media outlets. More recently, evidences provided by Reuters and McDonald Laurier Institute and others have shown the group becoming increasingly authoritarian against citizens living in Tigray. They have been accused of restricting and including food forced conscription and used child soldiers. Channel 4 in the UK recently interviewed Tigrayans who have fled into neighboring regions in control of Ethiopian government. Yet, of course, analysis of Dr. Tedros' comments show he has never challenged the actions of the TPLF. The writer finally pointed out that it's time someone held the Director General to account. Trust in the WHO is essential, but when Adhanom's approach to Ethiopia is making many question the organization's integrity.
ጉልበታችን ብረት አልነበረ ጉልበታችን ትጥቅ አልነበረ ጉልበታችን ኢትዮጵያዊነት ነበር እኛ ያለን አገራችን በክፉ የሚመለከታት እኛ ያለን ጥላሸት ሊቀባት የሚፈልግ ካለ በምን ታምር ሊታሰብ አይችልም የግድ መጥፋት
ይህ ኃይል ካልጠፋ ኢትዮጵያ ሰላም አታገኝም ብቻ ሳይሆን ከጀርባው የሚጋልቡትን አርፎ አይቀበሉም።
An Ethiopian political activist says that TPLF's third and ongoing reckless foray into the Amhara state should be the last one. In this on account of the fact that TPLF has used the last several months to conscript all able-bodied residents, train, rearm, reorganize, and stockpile food and fuel for the war. Any setback this collection of ragtag army suffers along the Wollo, Gondar and Shah routes will be its demise, according to a prominent Ethiopian political activist, Nam Zallaka. Take a look.
The TPLF has deployed over 5 army. Each army has 30,000 combatants to launch its third round offensive against Ethiopia. According to Zallaka, it has organized more than 150,000 men and women, mostly ragtag militia, to plunder Amhara and Afar lands and supply the war machinery as it advanced towards major towns in Wollo, Gondar and Afar. When it planned and launched out the brutal slaughter of thousands of soldiers and officers of the Northern Command, the initial strategic objective of TPLF was to march to Addis Ababa and regain power by force. The objectives has never shifted and remains the central objective in its subsequent military adventures. TPLF's objective has always been to regain power and enjoy its repressive dominance over the rest of Ethiopians. But at the current stage, Namin Zallaka believes that TPLF has only 2 options left to survive as a totalitarian political force in Tigray. Either the TPLF must gain significant military victory to force a transitional government with the support and intervention of foreign powers, or it must use a limited military victory as bargaining power to regain Wolkayet, the area which it annexed from the former province of Gondar, which it demographically re-engineered, including the massacre of thousands of Amhara of the locality. Both are not tenable options of the government of Ethiopia, and short of this, the TPLF cannot survive politically. By looking the situation on the ground, Zallaka suggested what needs to be done next. Most importantly, he urges the Ethiopian government to step up its effort to mobilize, arm, train and create well-regulated militia in Amhara and Afar regions to operate as a civil defense force that fights alongside the federal army and reinforce the Amhara special force and Fano. And all vulnerable localities in northern Gondar and Wollo, Afar must be armed, as that is the best way to counter and defeat the TPLF's human wave of terror, atrocity and plunder. According to Namin Zallaka, the goal of this third round war should be to break the backbones and enablers of TPLF and its war-making machinery.
American political analyst Andrew Korbiko said the international community has been turning a blind eye to the terrorist TPLF's use of child soldiers and their deployment in the barbaric human wave. TPLF has been forcefully conscripting the youth in Tigray and using children as cannon fodder. Speaking to Ethiopian news agency, Korbiko said the international community is silent about TPLF's use of human wave tactics, child soldiers and the combination. It's regrettable that TPLF continues to cling to terrorism instead of unilaterally disarming and demobilizing to explore a peaceful political solution to this externally exacerbated conflict, the analyst noted. It appears increasingly likely that the TPLF will have to be totally defeated on the battlefield in order for peace to return to the northern part of the country, the analyst concluded. Ethiopian Minister of Defense Abraham Belay attended the South Sudanese United Army inauguration ceremony. The minister expressed his delight that the forces were able to unite their armies today and create a national army, while citing Ethiopia's ongoing efforts to bring about a lasting peace in South Sudan. But I expressed confidence that the parties who signed the Peace Pact in Addis Ababa in 2018 would continue to deepen their commitment and fully carry out the remaining provisions. He added the Ethiopians will continue to step up their support. In their remark, President Salva Kiir Mayardit and First Vice President Riek Machar recognized Ethiopia's contribution to the process's success. Ethiopian Customs Commission has confirmed that it has seized a total of 81.4 million birr imported and exported goods at various branches during the surveillance from August 19 to 25, 2022. Of the total, close to 75 million birr worth of imported contraband goods and 6.5 million birr worth export goods are seized by the Commission. It was learned Hawassa, Dreddawa and Adama branch offices have mainly contributed in controlling illegal trading, and they have managed to seize contraband goods worth more than 23.9 million, 12.2 million and 6.7 million birr respectively. Among the contraband items seized are clothes, fuel, cattle, electronics, coffee, medicine, vehicles, cosmetics, weapons, chat, drugs, cooking oil and currencies of different countries. The contraband goods were seized by the joint efforts of the Customs Commission staff, Ethiopian Federal Police, state police members and the public through searches, fights, among others. Members of the Japanese business delegation and representatives from Japan External Trade Organization JETRO expressed keenness to make the best use of favorable investment circumstances throughout Ethiopia and participate in a variety of investment operations. They also stated that Ethiopia and Japan have a great deal of promise for each other. Kasaun Chane reports.
Officials from the Japanese External Trade Organization JETRO and a captains of the Japanese business delegation stated that they are keen to engage in various investment activities and explore advantageous investment conditions throughout Ethiopia. JETRO opened its 55th regional office in Ethiopia in 2016, raising the spectrum of Japan's entry into Ethiopia's booming market. JETRO is renowned for its significant assistance for fostering the Japanese government's trade and investment with the rest of the globe. Taka Saki, the outgoing Director General of JETRO, that Ethiopia and Japan share a lot of potential and reaffirmed the solid commitment of his country's investors to make the best use of investment opportunities in Ethiopia.
And JETRO, Japan External Trade Organization, is a government agency for the business promotion under the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry of Japan. And then, our mission is, to strengthen the bilateral economic relations between these two important countries, Japan and Ethiopia. We are supporting both sides, not only the Japanese companies. Well, of course, we are the Japanese government agency. We pay the utmost care for the Japanese potential investors and then the Japanese business persons, but also our activities always in both directions. So we encourage the Ethiopian companies to do business with Japan, which might be a coffee export, or maybe the sesame, or anything from Ethiopia. So we encourage the Ethiopian companies to encourage JETRO to connect you to Japanese companies.
Yasuhiro Nakamaya, the recently appointed Director General of JETRO, emphasized his commitment to making every effort to further advance trade relations with Ethiopia.
We are now expecting not only the agricultural section, but also the hot topic is environmental section and also the infrastructure section. But we handle not only those sections, we handle many other sectors also. And during this COVID situation, the business matching, direct business matching is a little bit difficult situation. But we are now promoting the online business matching that can connect Japanese companies and Ethiopian companies by online. So we don't have to come to Ethiopia, or Ethiopian companies don't have to visit Japan. We can directly have a business matching by online. So now I am expecting to spread that business matching opportunities much more to increase the amount of investment and trade between two countries.
As a result of Ethiopia's extensive reform, a number of Japanese investors are currently engaged in a variety of investment sectors, aiding industrialization.
UN expresses its concern over the stalemate in Libya following the upsurge of clashes between rival factions in Tripoli. Reports claim that over 30 people have died due to the fresh clashes in Libya. Koshumel has more from Africa News.
The Under-Secretary General for Political and Peace-Building Affairs expressed concern at the stalemate in Libya following recent clashes in Tripoli between rival factions vying for power. Speaking before the Security Council in New York, Rosemary DiCarlo denounced efforts from Propaganda forces of trying to take the capital from the east.
I am deeply concerned that the ongoing stalemate and continued delays in implementing the electoral process pose a growing threat to security in and around Tripoli, and potentially to all Libyans. The United Nations has consistently underscored that the conduct of elections remains the only way to break the current impasse. Despite our continued efforts, no progress has been made on forging a consensus on a constitutional framework for the elections.
The Libyan ambassador to the United Nations reaffirmed the lack of progress and continued suffering on the ground.
As far as we are concerned, there's nothing positive to note since our latest briefing last month. The political stalemate, the security and military tensions persist. The suffering of the Libyan people has increased.
Clashes over last weekend in Tripoli caused at least 32 dead as well as considerable material damage.
Over now to a quick reminder of the headlines. TPLF launches invasion in Wag, Wolkite and other areas. Ethiopians urge the need to scrutinize the role of WHO's Tedros Adhanom. We have been watching ETV News. Thanks for your company and have a great time.